I'm Dawn Montefusco, life coach for writers and creatives, and this is the Ultimate Writer Series, how to break through resistance, ignite your muse, and honor your soul's calling. And today we have one of my favorite people and very special guest, Shirl Crimmins Smith. She's an author, writer, and health advocate for children with ADHD. She's the author of What Life Taught Me, a toolbox of insightful approaches to maneuvering life, and Saving Rebecca from ADHD, My Struggles, Strategies, and Successes, which will be available in the fall. Hi, Shirl.
Hi, Dawn.
How's it going?
Well, it's going. How's it going for you?
It's going. It's good. We live in the Pacific Northwest, and it's sunny, so that's always a good day.
It's a beautiful day.
So tell us about any projects or what you're excited about that's going on right now.
Well, right now my big book that you've helped me write is off being edited, and it should be out about in the fall. And with your prompting, I just had a little fun, and that's what the book on, the 17 life lessons, What Life Taught Me was about. It was just a fun, quick little thing up on Kindle.
And you just put it on Kindle.
I did.
Yeah. It was so much fun. So Shirl's been one of my clients for a couple of years. She finished her book, which is amazing. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And to get her into the algorithm of Amazon, what's really highly recommended is that you just write a short book. You write something that's fun. Like I had a book of poetry that I put out there. I've had other writing coaches also put like a short book of poetry or essays. And Shirl totally surprised me and wrote this beautiful book called What Life Taught Me, a toolbox of insightful approaches to maneuvering life. And she's got 17 stories that you can see yourself in all of those stories. And it's really just heartwarming to read it. Because it has that good storytelling, and it also it makes it helps you remind yourself to be grateful for what you have, and that's something that I really appreciate about you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what motivated you to write Saving Rebecca.
Well, it had been on my back burner for a while, but my greatest motivation was to give parents another option for their children when they've been diagnosed ADHD. They want to go with medication right away. And I'm not against medication. I just, I tried the natural way first, and it was successful. And there were so many pitfalls and struggles. And I thought, there has to be other people like myself. So if me sharing my story has helped somebody to realize, one, you're not alone, and two, there are other options out there. And it's more than just raising an ADHD child with disabilities. It's also how I grew as a parent and an individual myself. And I think anybody who's got a special needs child, they'll understand and they'll feel some compatibility.
Yes.
What I share.
You really do share a lot. So first of all, everyone, Shirl's a master storyteller. And what was great is you came to me because you had this sort of gnawing, like a haunting, it was knocking at your door to get it out of you. How long had you been thinking about writing this memoir?
Well, I started it when I started having success with what I had accomplished with Rebecca. I just started keeping little notes and thinking someday, I'm going to make it easier for somebody else, because when I went looking for help way back when, there really wasn't a whole lot. But I think what's universal is parents are struggling. And it's just more a message that you're not alone, and life doesn't take a break when you're struggling with something else. And it's tenacity. And I just felt that there was a need, that there had to have been somebody out there like me who was standing there at the library saying, where's the book I'm looking for?
Yeah.
From a parent that is walking my world, not just all doctors and professionals, but someone who is human like myself, trying to just figure it out and making sense of all of the information out there.
You did something that's actually really, really smart, something that came natural to you intuitively. They say to write the book you want to read, write the book that you wish was out there. so that and that's where the motivation comes. Like, what do you mean no one's written about this? And you, with Saving Rebecca, basically she found out her daughter had ADHD and they wanted to put her on meds. And, Shirl's first thought was, I don't want to put my little girl on medication. We don't know what's going to happen. And maybe there's another way. And you found a book from Dr. Feingold, The Feingold Diet. And it was no easy pickings, because this is going back 30 years where you had to read every label. You could just look it up on your phone. And the labels didn't even have everything that was in it.
No, they didn't. It was primitive.
It was primitive. That's right. You say that. I love that you say that. It was totally primitive. Yeah. And yet you managed it, and you managed to enroll the family in changing the diet and changing the habits. And you saw a huge difference.
Absolutely.
And that is such, an interesting story. I know that right now, novelty is a big deal in writing. So everybody out there with memoir, millennials and Generation Zs and the young ones are actually curious about what life was like before cell phones, before the internet. And it's become, a hot topic. Like, people actually want to read about the olden days. It's almost like back with horse and buggy, before we had a phone that we carried around with us, right?
Right.
And you write this story really like in a way that's just phenomenal. So tell us a little bit about let's tell us about the first struggles you had with writing memoir, and maybe how you got over some of those struggles, because memoir can be hard for people.
It was, because when you're busy living through the process, you think, well, you look back and say, well, look what we accomplished. But when I was writing it and putting it down, it was like I went back in time. Emotions that I thought I had addressed or weren't there anymore came back. So it was, in a way, it was kind of healing. It was like I had a whole different perspective when I was done. It was like, yeah, it was hard at the time, but I grew, and I am a better person because I went through that. So it was difficult. It was fun. It was a challenge sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
What can you say? You're very authentic. You've had an amazing life, and you've been very authentic and vulnerable in telling people about your journey in the book. You hit on this just now, but can you tell us a little bit about how writing helped not just to heal, but also discover the real you?
Well, yes, because you can kind of step away when you're putting it down and you're writing it. And I saw myself, I didn't at the time see myself as a warrior of the different challenges that I had and what I had accomplished and the people who had helped me. So I kind of saw that there was growth for all of us. It wasn't just Rebecca and myself. It was Greg and Stephanie and people that came into our life at a perfect time to help us to face some challenges. And so it was eye-opening. It was kind of when you're stepping outside and looking in. That was the first time, I think, because I just wrote it down. As you know, when you started working with me, it was just matter of fact. This is what I did. I didn't really put the emotion in. That's where you helped me, was to be honest and put me in the story, not just give the story.
Yeah. And you discovered, I think with my coaching, one of the things that you did, which I love, is you took the coaching. So not everybody takes the coaching, right? I teach craft, dialogue, setting, details. How do you tell how do you start a chapter so that it's compelling? How do you end a chapter so they want to keep going?
Yes.
You really took the coaching. And I got to the point where I was like, oh, I want to go, when's the next chapter coming? I really, like, this is crazy. It's an amazing story. It's not just about, saving Rebecca. It's about when God gives you a certain gift that's difficult, something that doesn't seem right, like a child with behavior issues, but you can, and then life doesn't stop, other things are going on. You really showed us about some main themes in the book, which was family, loyalty, commitment, and that you wanted to make a difference. You wanted to make a difference in your daughter's life. And you also, by writing the book, want to make a difference for others, which I think is a great, great motivator. What was fun about writing some of the scenes? Like when we decided to add dialogue or go back in or play with it, like there's some fun dialogue about Rebecca when she was younger. Did you tell us about the experience of adding dialogue and getting back into the story and making it a scene for people to have fun with?
Well, it was fun. I mean, for me, it was fun because it took me out of the concept of it was just, I was trying to get a helpful message out to people, but it was like our life was a play. And I was writing about it, but I also got to like stand out looking in. So when you would say, give me some tips and different things to do, to me, it was like, oh yeah, this is kind of fun in a way. It's not all just work and other stuff,
yeah.
But and different memories that I had forgotten about that would just come back when I was doing the story. So that was nice too.
That's fun. Yeah, I love memoir. Memoir is so great because you get to play with creative nonfiction, meaning you don't have to tell it exactly how it happened, but you do tell it how you remember it because they say, memory is 50% at best, and memoir is about how you remember it. You know what I mean? And how to tell a good story. So, so you and I both know about creative resistance and writing resistance. And I know I go through it. I know you've gone through it.
Yes.
And many people go through it. Can you speak to what kind of resistance you had to battle with writing this, and maybe how you overcame it? What were some of the tools you used?
Well, you were a great help because, as you know, I would say that little shit on my shoulder who would say, "Who do you think really wants to read what you wrote?" I mean, but then there was a part of me saying, the reason I lived it is because I need to help other people. So when I would feel like I didn't have the ability, then I would step away and say, but why not? And you were very encouraging. I mean, that there were times where I was like, I struggled, but you were very positive in your feedback and in your tips, and you made me better at the craft by just your expertise and your abilities. So my book wouldn't be what it is if I didn't have you. There's no doubt in my mind.
You're sweet. And I do have to say, you did take the coaching. So like you embraced it, even when you were resistant to it. Okay. Let me give it a shot. And we did it in little bits. I would say, just try this little scene. Just try to add something in the scene. And then what was great is you could see how all of a sudden the scene came alive. And then you yourself would go back and would edit things and start doing things after your first draft of each chapter. Eventually you would go back. And what I loved is that you got to actually self-coach, which was really my goal. So my goal with people is not just to get them to finish their book, but to learn to self-coach themselves so that the next time they write or whatever they're writing, they can look at it from that other angle. How helpful was it to have, I always think you should never write a book alone. So
absolutely.
How helpful is it? Well, before I even ask that, what do you think? Why do you think so many people are hung up on the idea that I should be able to do this myself? That's a thing. Like people are like, oh, I should do it myself. And then they hear those critical thoughts and they don't do it. But where do you think that idea came from? Because the truth is that look on your shelf. Every best-selling writer from way back when to now, even Thoreau, they said, oh, he wrote it in Walden Pond. No, his mother and his sister used to come and bring him lunch every day, and he would bounce ideas back and forth. So where do you think this idea comes from that you're supposed to do it alone?
I'm not sure, because I started doing some investigating when I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm at a point in time in my life where I have the time and the ability, so I'm going to write this. And I knew right away that I needed someone to help me with the feedback. I mean, you saw things that I didn't see, and you definitely can't, I wouldn't try it alone.
No, I don't do it alone.
It's very hard to do because the feedback is very powerful, and it helps you grow and stretch, and I don't know.
You know, it's funny, when I gave up writing poetry when I was working at Portland Community College, and I was in this program helping at-risk youth get back into school. It was really, it was a big mission. I was helping so many kids. And so I lost track of my poetry. And then when I tried to go back, and even my short stories and writing, when I tried to go back, I don't know, it just wasn't happening. And so I had read in Oprah magazine way back then that if you have something on your list for more than a year and you haven't done it, lose 5 pounds, write the book, write some poetry, whatever it is, climb a mountain, and you haven't done it in a year, you either do it or you never worry about it again. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to try to write again. And I wound up having, I put a Craigslist ad out, and I got 5 people to sign up and come to my home twice a month. And we started to help each other. And it was that writing group that actually inspired me to start helping other people write, because I was like, oh my gosh, somehow we got it in our heads to do this by ourselves. Now you're talking about good feedback. You're talking about constructive feedback. Feedback where the person is your cheerleader, your champion. Because when we were kids, if our teacher said, yeah, keep going, we did. And we usually got better at things. But if our teacher said, and there are bad teachers out there, and I know that, who say things like, you know what, you'll never amount to anything in that, you shouldn't do that. Even if that person, like Einstein failed math, you know, and they have there's all these statistics out there. My first writing teacher in NYU in freshman year told me I should never write and give it up. He was a terrible, terrible teacher. And it broke my heart, and I didn't write for years, like 2 years. And then luckily one of my counselors got me back into writing. And then I had an awesome teacher who was a great mentor, still is. But what about when you run into a naysayer? So we all have naysayers, and the thing is that they're usually close friends and family.
Family, yeah.
They usually mean the best because they're trying to save you from getting hurt. But how did you deal with, say, someone who said, who's going to read your book? You know, what were your tools to just sort of be like, you know, this is not the information that I want right now?
Yeah, well, I did have some of that. And I guess for me, it was like, why not? And I'm not out anything. I'm at a point in time in my life, now's the time to do it or not do it. You have to, I guess for me, I always wrote poems and short stories as a child. So I had a drive. I mean, it just never went away. I would get creative with Christmas cards or stuff like that. And so I thought, maybe it's not something they're comfortable with doing, but how am I ever going to know?
Yeah.
If I don't get brave, and, you know, and I watched the summit, I saw you, and I thought, okay, I'm going to take the step.
Yeah, it was great. We had a great, I mean, as soon as we chatted, it was like kismet. We just like,
yes,
each other. It was great. A lot of people don't write because they think they have to be in the mood all the time. They say, oh, I'll wait until I'm in the mood. And there's something to be said about it if that proves to be the right thing. Like some people will binge write, you know, they'll wait, they know there's a mood coming, they wait for the mood, but then they write nonstop for like a month or 2 months or 3 months. And then they don't write again. So there is something about that. For some people, they're called binge writers. But in general, as a general rule, if you wait till you're in the mood to write a book, I'm not sure you'd finish the book. Like, were there times where you were just not in the mood, but you did it anyway, and then that actually felt good?
Yes, the accountability. I mean, because there were some days where I would, but you know, in my case, I'm kind of different, I guess, in that I enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll just type away and it's total nonsense, but you know, like that, when you talked about when I did my quick read, that was just jotting ideas.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh yeah, I can use stories of what I did and how I came. So yeah, to me, I don't know, it's in my blood.
It's in your blood. That's awesome.
I just feel more alive when I'm sitting down at the computer and just
That's
typing
fabulous.
away.
The irony of that is that people who are really stuck, like in resistance, because of authority, because their teachers told them something, their mothers or fathers, or, you know, it's really interesting. Once they get the gears going, once the motor starts going, they say, I feel alive again.
Yeah.
I feel like the real me again. But sometimes there is a little bit of a push that some people, you know, who aren't as lucky, who you know, just that internal chatter gets the better of them.
Yeah.
But what I like what you said, and it's something that I do recommend my clients do, and it always works, is write something else for a minute. Go write in your journal. Go play with something that's creative, you know? Like if what you're working on is a little too, I'm at this part of my book, it's stressing me out. Go write something else for a little bit. Did you do that at times?
I did. When I would get frustrated, I would I had a little notebook and I would write aggravation poems.
I love it.
You know, I was frustrated, and so I would just try and get words to rhyme, like, what am I feeling? And then it was kind of,
I love it.
It was like, okay, then it was like taking a breath. I don't do yoga, so that was how I put myself back in.
I want to read some of those acronyms. I'll trade you some poems. It'll be fun.
Okay.
Have a good time with that. What about finishing? So one of the things, you know, I talked about is that that the finishing muscle, when you finish that first draft, not the perfect book, but the first draft, that there is something on the other side of that there is a feeling, there is an aha, there's something on the other side of that. What advice do you have to people who stop like right before they're finished, that you might want to give them some inspiration to keep going? I always say there's something on the other side of finishing.
Yeah, it's just don't let the self-doubt for me, it was, I would get out and I would write, and then life would get busy, and then it went back in the closet. So it took me this amount of time to do it, but it was a perfect time, I think, in my life where I had more time and I could do it. But just don't quit.
Don't quit.
Yeah, just go for a walk or go out and pull weeds or.
Yeah.
Because you won't know if you quit. If you quit,
there you go.
It's done.
I say you cannot fail if you do not quit. That is for anything.
That's very true.
You know, you cannot fail if you do not quit. We don't know what's on the other side of it, but there is something waiting for you on the other side of it if you do not quit. It always is. Always is.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Routines. I always love this question. People always want to know, like, what was your routine? How did you, do you write in the morning, at night? Do you, what's some of your writing routines?
For me, it was because for 17 years I had office hours when I would go to work. So that's just what I did is, okay, I checked my emails, had my coffee. So 9 o'clock, that was work time. I treated it as it's my job. I have to stay at it if I want to reach the goal.
Yes. Excellent. That's the best way to say it. I couldn't say it any better. Even people who have day jobs, they treat it like a second job. They say, okay, and it's temporary, right? You're going to get, if you keep coming to the table with it, it will be finished.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
going to go on forever. So making that time. I also think people should write at whatever time feels good for them. So some people are night owls. Actually, I have a client, she loves writing till like 3, 4 in the morning. And some people get up like at 4:30 in the morning. I don't do any of that. I'm more like
I didn't either.
I'm more of I get up at 7:30. I'm more like an 8:30 to 10:30 writer.
That's right, yeah.
That's about right. And then I go into my work.
Right.
Let's see. So if you could leave the audience with one bit of inspiration, for the woman out there and the man out there who are over 40, over 50, and they know in their heart of hearts they have a story to tell, and they even wrote, but they've lost hope, and they think, what does it matter? Why? I don't even see why I should start again. What inspiration do you have for someone who really does have a book in them and just wants to get it out?
I would say believe that there's a reason you feel driven to
Mm.
write or to share. We all have stories, and what we go through in life can lift somebody up or inspire somebody. So I think we're all interesting human beings.
Oh, I agree with you on that 100%. That's amazing. And I feel like if you're called to write, Norma Hollis, who's also on this series, you'll love her. She says, if God has knocked on your door to write, that knocking is never going to go away until you write.
And it doesn't.
And in order to feel better about life, you have to write. And it's because, you know, whether you believe in God or source energy or however you want to describe it, we're all so unique and so interesting that if we have the calling that something needs to come through us, that we will never feel completely fulfilled unless we get it out.
And that's absolutely true.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this was something that I just felt I needed to get out there. Whether or not anybody utilizes it or not, that really wasn't the point. The point was just to share. And hopefully, if there is somebody out there that was like I was and saying, I'm all alone, I have these emotions and I don't know how to deal with it, and I'm trying to do the best that I can, and you get depressed sometimes. And
Oh, yeah.
so it's kind of like, hey, it'll be okay.
Yeah. It kind of shows you how there's a divine order to things too. When you write a memoir, you know, you really do start to see it from a different point of view, and you go, wow, you know, it all worked out the way it was supposed to work out. You know, that's kind of crazy.
Well, you know, because I said there had to have been a reason why God picked me to be Rebecca's mom.
Yes.
I mean, you know, I always wanted to be an author, and so I said, okay, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I'm supposed to use my love of words and help somebody.
I love it. I love it. You also have, so everyone on this page, you also have an awesome Facebook page that's very inspiring. And she's going to post, you'll have the links on this page to her books. And then the book that's coming out, you can email her or get on her Facebook page, because any parents out there that have children with ADHD, this is a monumental work of how you can use, not just about the diet and the food, but really what a mother goes through and the inspiration to keep going, and how much love and closeness and commitment, and how it brings people together. So if you really are looking for hope and some knowledge, really get your name on her email list. Email her, so when that book comes out, you read it, because it's really, I mean, I think it's a fabulous book, and it's also really it's really helpful to parents. And you have a free gift for us.
I do. But if they email me, and you got the link, right?
Yep, I'll have a link.
Okay. Then I'll send them a PDF of what life taught me.
Yeah.
16 lessons that they may not have come across yet. Give them some inspiration and hopefully entertain them.
Yes. I think that you should read her Kindle book that she's going to give you for free on PDF. What's wonderful about it is everyone out there who's a writer and you want to write a short book, just to get into Amazon, start your author page going, you know, even while you're writing your first book, just to get it out there. It's an amazing example of how much fun you can have with this small book to really inspire other people. So please sign up and get that from her. It's definitely worth the read. Well, thank you so much, Shirl, for being on.
Well, thank you.
You're just a gem. You inspire me. You really do.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you.
Well, you have a great day and enjoy the
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.